For as long as I can remember, I associated my self-worth with my title. I felt like what I did or the title that I had was what made me who I am. And I couldn't truly be proud of where I was in life unless I had a certain title at that period in my life. Now I realize that this was far from the truth. I realized that I was hiding behind my title and tying too much of my identity into the title that I had. Hey guys, welcome to my channel today. I hope you're doing well, and I just want to go ahead and dive deep into this video. I want to talk about my journey with just discovering like my identity, my why, my purpose in this world. As humans, we naturally seek to know our identity. It's kind of an innate nature that we're born with, of desiring to know our why, our purpose, the place that we serve here on this earth. One main area that subconsciously shapes us learning our identity is the way that we think that others will view us. So we think that maybe if we get a certain job or have a certain status in life, that others may view us a certain way. And I truly believe that subconsciously this is beginning to shape our identity. Society says that our goal should be to go to school, get a good job, and like just continue to strive in life. And I realize that this is important, of course. And what I've also begun to realize is that this right here, the thought of going to school, asking these questions of like, what do you want to do with your life? All these different questions that kind of come up as you're starting school, even from kindergarten on up, is what begins to shape our framework for how we view ourselves and think that our identity has to be tied in that thing that we've decided to do or that pathway we decided to embark on. When what I realize is, what if you're no longer on that pathway? Are you going to completely lose yourself? What if for some reason you are no longer a student? What if for some reason you're playing a sport and you injure yourself and you're no longer a basketball player, whatever you play, whatever sport you would play in this world? What if you no longer work at a company and have that title? As humans, we can sometimes overlook our needs for a title. We easily intertwine ourselves in what we do, but we are much more than the title we have. Are you really living the life you deserve to live if you have the title but you no longer have joy? It took me years to realize that my identity should not be tied into the title that I have. I felt like tying my identity into my title was something that started very young for me. I also really value the opinion and the thoughts of others that were around me and in my world. So let me just backtrack a little bit. When I was younger, I always loved the reaction that I would receive from people when I would tell them what I wanted to be in life. You always ask kids this question of like, what do you want to be? And I loved the reaction that I received in that moment. Like, I remember saying, I want to be a doctor. That was something I always said since I was younger. And what I began to realize was that I liked people's reaction of, wow, that's great, that's amazing. And I continued to yearn for that desire from others as I got older. So it may not have been, what do you want to be? It may have turned into, what school are you going to? What school did you decide to go to? How are your grades? Oh, you're doing an internship this summer? Where are you doing your internship at? Okay, now you're graduating. Where are you gonna work at after graduation? Like, I desired to get these reactions from people of, wow, that's awesome, that's great. And I think it's natural to yearn praise, but I think it becomes a problem when you're shaping your world and your view around what others may think of you, because now you're beginning to create a pathway that's centered around others and not so much on your desires. Because sometimes we can desire to walk a certain way in life, but because of fear of what people may think or the outcome or all these different things, we steer away from that pathway when that is the one that we initially should have been on in the first place. I realized how unhealthy this was for me because I was able to have a season where I slowed down and just like sat down for a moment And I realized at that time of not having a specific title, I felt like I was losing myself. I honestly felt like I didn't know who I was anymore. And at that moment, I was thinking, my identity is tied into the title I have. This can't be healthy. I have to figure out a way to know that I'm still this great person. I still have an identity outside of the company I'm working for, outside of the space that I'm in, outside of the things that I'm doing in certain seasons of my life. I still have to know who I am. I have to know what my purpose is. I have to discover these things just simply so I can be who I'm called to be, because I firmly believe that we can be in spaces and do what we're called to do and not have to look for a title for the validation during that season. And sometimes I know that we can go through these seasons of not even feeling proud of ourselves if we don't have a certain title. If someone can't say, oh, you're that A student, or oh, you're working for this company, we sometimes don't feel proud of ourselves. But I know that in every single season of our lives, there's something we have going on that we should be proud of us. No, you may not be, an A student right now, or you may not be working for a certain company, or you may not be a wife during this season, but there's something in your life that you're doing great. There's something in your life that you're doing that you're overcoming each day. There's a power in you being able to just get out of the bed and start a new day. During that season of me discovering more of my identity, more of my purpose, I just started asking myself certain questions. Like, do I know who I am if I'm not the student anymore? Do I know who I am if I'm not at a certain company? Does this mean I'm a failure? No, it doesn't. I realized how unhealthy this mindset was for me. In my life, I worked really hard to kind of put myself in certain rooms, to allow my resume to have certain titles or my CV to look a certain way. And I really cherished, and valued the opinions of others, whether it was a mentor or just people around me letting me know that they are proud. And what I realized one season that I just kind of sat down for a moment, or God set me down for a moment, was that my identity and my worth was directly tied to the job that I had, or the thing that I can say after I introduce myself. I realized that this was very, very unhealthy and toxic in a lot of ways, because we can lose this in a blink of an eye. So if we do, are we going to lose ourselves in the process? God revealed to me that I can live out my purpose and still continue to keep my identity and know who I am in any space. Like, I could be at a grocery store and that might be the purpose that God has called for me to do for that day. That might be speaking to somebody. That might be letting someone know I'm praying for them, or I'm here to listen to them. Or, like whatever space or room that I'm in, I'm able to fulfill the purpose that He has for me to fulfill for that day. And sometimes I felt like the only way to fulfill my purpose was to have a certain title in this world. And I'm realizing those two don't have to go hand in hand. I'm sure sometimes that could be the case for some, but for me, that wasn't the case. It's okay to be proud of what you do. It's not okay to be completely consumed with it and begin to think that who I am is based on what I'm doing. Because if this is your mindset, there could be a season when that title is removed and you completely lose yourself. And it could cause you to go into this downward spiral because you no longer have this title to hang up anymore. Essentially, what I had to do during this season was to change the narrative that was in my mind, change what I was telling myself. And it honestly took me a long time to begin to shift my mindset on the topic of identity and purpose and discovering who I am. This was something that it's not taught in school. It's something that it's oftentimes not even talked about. I have to constantly work to remove the negative mindset I may have on this topic of thinking that it really matters what people think of us. And it truly doesn't, because we're called to live out a purpose in this earth, and we can't base what we do and the space we're in because of what people may think of who we are. And I've also realized that my purpose can be fulfilled in any setting. So that's a reminder, that's something I tell myself. And I have so much purpose in just today. I know that there are things that I want to accomplish in the future, but I can't overlook the now. There's purpose in the now, the space that I'm currently in, the day that I'm currently living out. There's so much purpose in that moment as well. I simply discovered that my purpose is so much deeper than the title that I have. I realized that it's so easy to hide behind the mask and have a title. It's almost like, you're somewhere, you have a mask, and you're just holding up a little sign that says, I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse, I'm X, Y, and Z, whatever you are. And while it's great to be those things, because we need nurses, we need doctors, we need engineers, we need teachers, we need researchers, we need all these different people to make the world go around. And I think it's so amazing to have certain titles in this world. I think it becomes negative and a problem when your identity's in that title, because that title is not something that could last forever. Anything can happen. You could decide you no longer want to work in that profession. Now, are you going to be able to step away because you're called to a different route? And I feel like once I removed my identity from the title of the job that I have, I just began to feel so free. I begin to feel like there's nothing I can't accomplish in this world, because I'm not tied to a sector, a title, a job, a career, any of that. Like, I'm literally tied to fulfilling the purpose that I have in this world. And I think once God revealed to me that you can fulfill your purpose in any space that I put you in, and your identity is not in that title that you have at that moment. So in so many ways, I realized that the title that you have can sometimes be really important. It can help you grow in a company. It can help you potentially own a company someday. And what I realized is that there's so much power in having a title and not allowing that title to have you. So if anyone needs to hear this, you are more than your title. Your worth should not be tied into what you do every day. I think those things are important, but it can't define you. And regardless of whatever season you're in right now, you're not failing. You're still enough. And I just want to remind you guys of these things, because it's so important, because it's not talked about enough in our society. So I hope this encourages you in some way. And I thank you guys so much for staying to the very end of this video. And please subscribe to the channel. Again, I really want to grow this community, and I have a goal of growing it to 10K by the end of this year. So please subscribe and help me reach that goal. Alright guys, I appreciate y'all so much, and I'll see you next week.